We are visiting Ethiopia once again, but this time we're going to be looking at facts about the city Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of FTD Facts. My name is Leroy Kenton, and what else is there left to say about Ethiopia that we haven't mentioned? Well, looks like there's a lot of stuff still to talk about. So we're looking at the city Addis Ababa, so make sure you watch this episode from fact 10 all the way down to number 1. We got a lot of cool and interesting facts coming up. Now let's jump into the facts, starting with fact number 10. Addis Ababa is the 4th largest city in Africa, and it's also the diplomatic home to the African Union. And of course, it's the capital city and the largest city in Ethiopia. The city, it sits on top of the ENTOTO mountains, and the name Addis Ababa, it literally means new flower. But speaking of the elevation of the city, it's actually one of the highest elevations of a capital city in the entire world. It has a height of 2,355 meters or 7,726 feet, but it's also the highest in all of Africa. And with the elevation of the city, it's ranked behind cities like Bogota, Colombia, as well as Quito in Ecuador. Also, travelers have been known to experience altitude sickness, as well as they've experienced struggles with their breathing after only a few days in the city because it's so high up. The next fact at number 8 we're going to talk about is the National Museum of Ethiopia. This is also located in the city Addis Ababa, and on the basement level what you're going to find is 2 casts of Lucy, which is a fossilized hominid. There are several hundred pieces of fossilized bone that make up about 40% of the skeleton of a female of the hominin species known as AUSTRALOPITHECUS afarensis. Over in Ethiopia, Lucy is also known as Dikinesh, which means you are marvelous in the Amharic language. Lucy was discovered back in the year 1974, and generally speaking, scientists date Lucy back to about 3.2 million years ago. Now, most people assume that Addis Ababa, like many other cities, just started off as a settlement. But what people don't know is that the city started off as a military encampment that housed the palace of the emperor named Menelik II. Now, the palace was surrounded by a large army of troops, and then after many years went by, people then started to come into the city and settle in it, set up their homes, start their families, and now we have the Addis Ababa that we have today. Now, for fact number 6, honestly, let's talk about the traffic at the world's craziest intersection, MESKEL Square in Addis Ababa. So this intersection literally has no traffic lights, there's no roundabout to help traffic flow safely, as well as there's no traffic police at all. Now, a man by the name of Hans Monderman, he was a Dutch traffic engineer that was behind this entire design, and what he believed was that if you remove traffic signs and got rid of so many different road rules, that drivers would be more alert while driving. Although that may be true in some cases, the facts are quite opposite when it comes to this intersection. As a matter of fact, as of 2019, Addis Ababa City Road Traffic Management Agency has begun plans to construct at least 40 new intersections to help with all the accident and issues that having no traffic regulations causes, not just in the square, but other places in Addis Ababa as well. So many visitors and even local people in Addis Ababa are saying, thank you, God, it is about time. So far, that was 5 facts that I shared about Addis Ababa, and I got 5 more to go. But before I get into those last 5 facts, just gotta let you know that we do have several other videos about the country of Ethiopia. I'll have a link down below in the video description section. We go into a lot of the different facts about the history, the culture, traditions in Ethiopia. Very interesting. We've done part 1, we've done part 2, so I'll have a link to those down below in the video description section so you can keep on learning. But if you also want to learn more about different topics in our world, learn about different countries, different religions, different traditions and cultures as well, I'll have a link to a playlist filled with those videos for you. We want to make sure that you get a lot of knowledge on the topics that you want to learn about here in FTD Facts. Also, if this is your first time here to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you can be notified of our daily episode. And while you're at it, leave a like as well. Okay, so moving on to fact number 5. Addis Ababa is extremely diverse. So of course you might think that a city in a country like Ethiopia wouldn't really be that diverse because, there's a stereotype that, the gene pool is really small there. but there are actually several large ethnic groups within the city, such as the Amhara, then there's the Gurage, the Oromo, and the Tigray as well. There's also a lot of expats from countries around different parts of the world, due to the city really being the home of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. The city of Addis Ababa also contains Mexico Square, and this was built to recognize Mexico's relationship and support for Ethiopia, because according to sources, it was the only nation, if not one of the only nations, in the League of Nations to have condemned Italy's occupation of Ethiopia. So Ethiopia chose to create Mexico Square in Addis Ababa, and in return, Mexico named a metro station after Ethiopia. After the Second Italo-Ethiopian War, Mexico was one of only 5 countries that refused to recognize Italy's annexation of Ethiopia. So yes, as you could see, Mexican support for an independent Ethiopia was a very key event in Ethiopia and Mexico's relationship that they have today. For fact number 3, let's talk about Mercato, and that was formerly known as the Mercato Indigino, and it's the largest outdoor market in Africa. Yeah, that's also in Addis Ababa as well. Now, it started off as a segregated Ethiopians only market, and this happened during the 5-year Italian occupation. But this market, it currently covers several square miles, and over 13,000 people work there for over 7,000 different businesses that operate in this market. Fact number 2 brings us to the National Palace. This is located near the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, and this was built to celebrate Emperor Haileselassie I's Silver Jubilee back in the year 1955. So that's why this was previously named Jubilee Palace. Now, if you don't know, a Silver Jubilee, it marks the 25th anniversary of a reign of a ruler. Now, it was modeled after the Buckingham Palace in the United Kingdom, and it's estimated that the value of the Jubilee Palace is said to be equal to $1.5 billion. Now, for fact number 1 in this episode, Ethiopia is one of the world's most religious countries. Like, I've talked about religion in Ethiopia in previous episodes, and the capital also is a very religious place as well. Over 99% of the population of Addis Ababa say that they are religious. And when it comes to religion, the majority, about 77%, identify as Ethiopian Orthodox, which is a form of Orthodox Christianity. Now, the next largest religious group would be Islam, that makes up 16.2% of the population, and 7.7% are Protestant Christians. Also in Addis Ababa, you're going to find Catholicism, but that makes up less than 1% at 0.48% of the total population identifying as Catholic. So that's it for this episode. We just explored 10 surprising, interesting facts about Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. I know there's so much more that I didn't even touch on in this episode, so I know you guys are really loving these videos about Ethiopia. I definitely want to do more, so I'm really hoping that you guys request for me to do more videos about Ethiopia, as well as just leave your thoughts and comments down below. I want to know what you guys thought about anything that I shared in this episode, any feedback that you guys have, what future topics outside of talking about Ethiopia do you want to hear. All of those juicy comments, let me know down below. My social media links are below in the video description section, as well as the related videos that I mentioned halfway in this episode. Click on a link or two, and I will see you next time in another episode.